This elderly grandmother seemed to still have a childlike heart. While her grandson was asleep, she started playing with his toys. Having lived in the deep mountains for many years, she found the new toys fascinating. She fiddled with them this way and that way, but no matter how she tried, she couldn't get them to work correctly. The more she struggled, the more amused she became, and she couldn't help but break into a long-lost smile. Since the child's mother owed a large debt and his father had abandoned them, so she planned to send the child to live with the grandmother for a while. She intended to find a job first and then come back to get the child. The child, who had just started elementary school, was used to the pampered life in a big city. Seeing the broken broom, spider webs everywhere, and all those little bugs around, to show his dissatisfaction, the naughty boy even peed on his grandmother's shoes. The grandmother looked at the grandson she had never met before. She wanted to reach out and touch him, but he was so dirty. Before leaving, Mom left 2 health supplements for Grandma, while the boy received a bunch of canned food. After leaving the items, Mom was about to leave, but upon seeing her long-lost daughter, the speechless Grandma signaled for her to stay for a night. However, in a rush, Mom still took the last bus and left. That night, Grandma saw the boy not eating, just consuming the canned food he brought. So she tore some pickles into his bowl, but he immediately dug the dishes back. Worried that the boy would be hungry, Grandma searched the cabinet. She found some long-treasured candies, took them out, and placed them near his mouth, but he continued eating his own food, resting his head on his hand. At that moment, Grandma didn't know what to do. When it was time to sleep, the boy was still awake, playing with his game console. With no other options, Grandma could only quietly watch her grandson in front of her during the night. The boy had an urgent need to use the bathroom, so Grandma handed him a basin. Although he disliked Grandma, he was afraid to be alone, so he wanted her to stay by his side. Grandma sat in the middle doing needlework, while the boy played with his roller skates nearby. The boy played his game console in the middle and Grandma cleaned around him. One can imagine the difficult life Grandma has endured, with her feet showing the passage of time. One day, while her grandson was still asleep, Grandma, feeling a bit childish, started playing with the boy's toys. The more she played, the more fun she found it, and she couldn't help but smile. A smile she hadn't shown in a long time. After playing for a while, she noticed the toys were in a mess. Humble as she was, fearing the boy's reaction, she carefully tidied up the toys again. The elderly Grandma wanted the boy to help thread the needle. This familiar scene reminded me of when adults used to ask for my help when I was young. Although the boy was full of reluctance, he still chose to help. The boy was playing with his game console when it suddenly ran out of power, causing him to start fussing at Grandma. Grandma wanted to give the boy money to buy batteries, but when she searched her bag, she found it empty. The boy started making a commotion again while Grandma was washing clothes. Seeing Grandma indicating that there was no thread, he angrily pushed her away and left without looking back. Grandma ignored him and continued washing clothes. The boy went back and searched through the cabinets but found nothing useful, just some worthless items. Angrily, he kicked and shattered the freshly washed basin on the ground. He also secretly threw away Grandma's shoes. Without shoes, Grandma had to walk barefoot, step by step, on the rugged mountain path. Watching Grandma struggle to thread the needle for a long time, the boy couldn't help but show a smug expression. At this moment, an idea came to his mind. Early the next morning, while Grandma was still asleep, the boy took her hairpin. It turned out the boy wanted to use it to buy batteries. He walked around, but being unfamiliar with the roads, he had to keep asking for directions. After some time, he arrived at a store. The owner recognized that the hairpin belonged to an elderly person and harshly knocked on the boy's head. The boy had to give up, but he couldn't find his way back. He cried while walking. He wandered around, crying as he walked, not knowing the direction. Fortunately, a kind-hearted passerby came by and brought the boy back. When they were almost home, the boy, feeling guilty for what he had done, didn't dare to speak. Grandma walked past him without acknowledging him. The boy looked at the rusty spoon in Grandma's hair and seemed to feel a twinge of guilt as he watched Grandma walk further away. The boy called out to Grandma, asking her to accompany him back. One day, it started to rain outside. Although he initially didn't want to care about the clothes, upon seeing his own clothes among them, he decided to bring them in. After a moment, he also brought in Grandma's clothes. Interestingly, as soon as he brought the clothes back in, the rain stopped, so he had to hang them back out to dry. After finishing, he suddenly paused and thought, "No, I can't let her know I brought the clothes in," so he rehung the clothes as they were. Grandma, noticing that the boy hadn't been eating lately, touched his head but found nothing unusual. She then asked the boy what he wanted to eat, and he said he wanted KDJ fried chicken, using gestures to explain. Grandma seemed to understand and took some items to sell in town, happily whistling as she left. After some time, Grandma returned with a large rooster, but it was pouring rain. Upon returning home, the first thing she did wasn't to change her own clothes. Instead, she took the bed cover to cover the boy and then took the pillow to cushion him. Then she sharpened the knife and went to kill the chicken. After a while, Grandma brought the cooked chicken to the bed and broke off a big chicken leg and gave it to the boy, but the boy started crying. "This is not KDJ fried chicken, it is disgusting." Grandma still tried to pass the chicken leg to the boy, but the boy knocked over the rice. Grandma had to pick up the rice, and then she picked up the rice on the ground and ate it grain by grain. In the middle of the night, he woke up because he was too hungry. He looked at the chicken in the pot and showed off while Grandma was asleep. The next day, the boy woke up, but his grandmother was still not awake. Because of the rain yesterday, his elderly grandmother caught a cold and had a fever. The boy, feeling ashamed, covered his grandmother with a quilt and a towel and replaced the hairpin he had stolen. Then he wanted to bring food to his grandmother. He saw the leftover chicken from last night and brought some water. A simple meal was all it took. After many hours, his grandmother's illness was cured. Grandma saw that her grandson's shoes no longer fit her feet, so she and the boy took the fruits to sell in the town. When they got to the town, the boy saw a girl from the village. He went to play with her, but no one paid any attention to him. The boy hid in the corner and watched his grandmother selling things. Seeing her begging others to buy things, the boy seemed to feel more guilty. After selling everything, his grandmother bought the boy a new pair of shoes and then took him to a good meal. When they got in the car, his grandmother asked the boy what he wanted to eat. The boy saw a child eating egg yolk pie and said he wanted to eat egg yolk pie. So they came to a familiar store. The friendship of many years made the store owner give a few more and was unwilling to take the money from his grandmother, but his grandmother still gave the store owner some vegetables. He gave the egg yolk pie to the boy. When leaving, she wanted the boy to take the things back first, but the boy pushed the things away with disdain. They returned to the elementary school where they waited for the bus and waited for Grandma to come back. He didn't know how long he waited before another bus came. He stood up, but it was not his grandma. He didn't know how long it took before Grandma finally came back. When the boy saw his grandma, he complained that Grandma came back so late. It turned out that in order to save money, Grandma walked back step by step from the town. The boy felt ashamed when he heard it and took the initiative to help Grandma pick up the things. He walked in front and secretly stuffed an egg yolk pie into Grandma's bag. At night, he could only go to the toilet outside. The boy didn't dare to go alone, so Grandma had to accompany the boy outside. The wind outside seemed particularly biting. The next day, the girl said that she would go play with the boy tomorrow. The boy was so upset that he couldn't sleep just thinking about it. But when he looked in the mirror, he found that his hair was a little long. No matter how he cut it, it wasn't handsome enough. So he asked Grandma to give him a haircut. The boy fell asleep while cutting. When he woke up, his hair became like this. What kind of hair is this? It's so ugly. The elderly person next door was dying, so Grandma took the boy to visit him. Grandma took out the few health products she had. It turned out that Grandma had been reluctant to eat, but she was never stingy with her friends. On the way home, he opened the bag that his grandmother had stuffed in. He saw the game console inside. It turned out that the last time when Grandma saw the boy leaving town, he was staring at the batteries so closely that he chose to walk home. So Grandmother saved money to buy batteries for the boy. At this time, the boy couldn't help but shed tears. When Grandma saw that the boy was slow to come back, she came out to look for the boy and saw her grandson crying. She also saw the injury on the boy's knee. She wiped the boy's tears and felt very distressed. Then she took out a letter. It was from his mother. His mother had found a stable job. This indicated that the boy was leaving. What should Grandma do after the boy left? So that night the boy taught his grandmother to write so that they could keep in touch through letters in the future. At this time they both couldn't help crying. The night before they left, he had threaded a lot of needlework in advance. That night he seemed he has really grown up. When leaving the next day, the shy boy stood silently until he got on the bus. Grandma stood by the window and wanted to see more of the elementary school, but the boy still didn't face her. When the bus started to drive away, the boy couldn't help but run to the back of the bus and imitated his grandma's gesture to express his previous apology and "I will miss you forever." The car went farther and farther, and the relatives also went farther and farther. Only Grandma was left in the house in the mountains. Who knows when the next reunion will be? Perhaps wavering love is the most precious thing in the world, but too many people ignore it now. Please cherish the relatives in front of you and the family affection in front of you. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like the video to help our channel out.